Chapter 3, Building Chaos Agents and the Popularium Team.
Oh,
Arka!
hi! Hey, Skaff!
Hey, how's it going?
There you are. You seem to be having a good time. Peter, so good to see you
Good to
again.
see
Thanks
you.
for coming
Peter.
by. Thank you so much.
Hey, John.
Hey,
Great
how's
to
it
see
Oh,
going?
there
you
he
as well.
is.
Yeah.
Hey, Skaff.
how's
Always
it
great
going?
to see you, man.
What are you guys talking about? Are you ready for the tournament?
Games. Yeah.
I am.
Well, Richard was explaining the game to me and Skaff. I mean, I didn't know anything about it before tonight. I mean, I knew it happened because Richard was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing," but he wouldn't say anything about it. And then this guy wouldn't say anything about it. But yeah, I'm getting briefed.
And now you know everything about it, right?
No. I don't know everything about it, but I'm
What
ready.
have you been doing? You guys have just been playing Magic this whole time.
He
haven't you?
knows
Yeah.
as much about it as he could in the 10 minutes we've talked about it.
I have a
Okay.
short attention span. Yeah. So,
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what are you doing involved in this? What are you doing? Are you the tournament organizer?
Well, I wish I were just the tournament organizer. Well, you know, he's the main tournament organizer over here. Well, yeah, it's quite the story. Skaff and I, we started working together 10 years ago,
10 years
11
ago,
years ago now.
something like that, yeah.
And it was fun. It was for a completely different thing around sports, which, you know.
We
Oh,
both
yeah.
love.
Yes, and there after many working sessions at bars, you know, which ended at like 1 o'clock in the morning, we ended up as like really good friends, and you know, so I got to know Richard and Skaff, kept in touch, and then finally learned about this idea that they were germinating around a unique deck hero game, and I was all over it because I had been essentially obsessed over why haven't we seen something like Magic, like the evolution of that in a digital format? And it's not just card games, which, you know, our friend here will tell you all about, like Hearthstone and how this format has been very successful digitally, but it hasn't really evolved to something that can only be done in a digital format. And
What would that evolution look like, though? I mean, there's been plenty of trading card games
Right,
online, including Magic the Gathering,
Yeah.
and other games. So when you say evolved, like, what are you getting at?
I didn't know what that meant, right? And that's why I needed these guys. And that was the aha moment when the evolution was very clearly this idea of a unique hero whose DNA is essentially a unique deck of cards. And that just made sense. And when these guys started talking about, you know, multiplayer, and I was like, okay, so this is like the evolution of the perfection of Hearthstone and the evolution of Hearthstone, and we'll have amazing decks, and we'll have heroes, and we'll have cool like card battling, you know, graphics and all that. And then what they came back with, and I was like, okay, let's put this down on paper, was an auto battler Royale with 64 AI controlled units making thousands and thousands of decisions every minute. And then I remember Skaff's like, yeah, you know, you need to tell us if this is doable. And I'm like, I thought we were making a card battler.
Well, I gotta say, Richard did the same thing to me back in 1991. Only it was him saying, "I don't know if this is doable," and I'm like, "I don't either."
Well, my answer
sucker born in a minute.
was anything is doable given enough, you know, time, money, and the right people. And that's when I was like, okay, if you're doing an auto battler, I know the person. And my friend John here, he was working on Hearthstone and then Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which, according to Richard and myself, like, you know, it's pretty much the class when it comes to auto battlers. So I was like, John, are you gonna help us build a great auto battler Royale? And
Did you tell him the Royale part, or did you save that?
No, I said the auto battler Royale part. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
laid it all out for him
Wow,
because
you
I was like,
still
okay,
said
look.
yes.
I was like,
Absolutely.
look,
Yeah.
this is different enough from what you're working on that you can advise us, and everyone's going to be cool about it. And he's like, I'm going to do one better. It's like, why don't we just do this together? And
Nice.
you know, that was a great moment for Richard, Skaff, and me, and that was the start of Popularium. And that was almost 2 years now. Yeah, almost 2 years now. So John, why did you make? Well, I know now, but you know. Peter,
Yeah, it was what you described. Like, we had started talking earlier about, hey, I'm working with Richard Garfield and Skaff. And I'm like, oh, that would be amazing. Like, those guys really know what they're doing. And I'm like, oh, but it's probably going to be a card game. And like, I've spent a long time working on a digital card game. Like, I'm looking for something exciting. And so the conversations just kept going And I remember talking with Richard about how much fun we'd had with the auto battler genre. Like I had been there at Hearthstone, we were making Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is a great auto battler. And we had all been playing it and just like kept playing it because it was so much fun. And we were all excited. We're like, hey, there's something here. And that was like the cool part of working at Hearthstone during this time, is we were chasing this brand new genre that had just come out. And everybody was trying to do their take on it. And so we were doing all of these little evolutionary steps. And talking with Richard and with Arka and with Skaff, we felt that there was a way to not just evolve, but maybe revolutionize that genre, take it up even further by combining some of these other elements that you've heard Richard talk about and Skaff talk about. And so we were just so excited. Like I remember talking to Richard about, hey, what like that core loop behind Battlegrounds, behind auto chess, behind all of these auto battlers, just how fun and compelling it was. Do you remember that, Richard?
Hearthstone Battlegrounds was, it was, I think, the whole genre got launched with auto chess, and it looked like everybody was sort of trying to imitate, perfect auto chess, but Hearthstone Battlegrounds really brought something new to the table, and felt like they were really exploring this a little more. And I just love the feeling in all the games, but it was really brought to a head with Hearthstone Battlegrounds of this controlled chaos where you understood the system enough to make predictions about what was going to happen, but you would be mistaken often enough that it was constantly surprising. If it was more chaotic, maybe you wouldn't make those predictions. And if it was less chaotic, maybe it would be too rote. But it had this sort of delicious feeling following the action.
Yeah, we really love talking about delightful surprises in that game, and the genre in general is just so good at that. But as we talked more, we talked about what we were loving about Battle Royale, which was obviously huge at the time. And we felt, to Skaff, to your earlier point, one of the things, and I think Richard has talked about this a little bit earlier, was that feeling of in these auto chess games where you were playing sort of more like a tiny 1v1 series of battles rather than part of this big grand melee. And that was like the magical thing Battle Royales were just delivering on. You just felt like every game was filled with chaos and filled with fun, and every match was different. And that's something that I think that we're trying to take and we're trying to evolve and make even better in the genre. And then that combined, probably the most interesting conversation is the one these guys were talking about around unique decks. Like one of the core problems in the auto battler space is around, hey, how do you make something really compelling and interesting that people want to earn and buy and stuff like that? And this felt like a way that you'd both add interesting, awesome, fun gameplay, but you'd also be able to hook into this cool narrative we're developing, this awesome world we're making, and sort of get your little piece of that, your agent, which is this materialized DNA through the unique decks. And so it was just like this confluence of all these awesome things coming together. And that's just so exciting. And talking with all of these guys, I'm like, I'm excited. Like, let's go do this.
And that was another thing that John and I agreed upon on a very fundamental level, that both he and I had seen that so many games that were mechanically brilliant just didn't put enough thought into making a coherent IP and a coherent universe around it, and that had to be retrofitted. And that was very important to us. So, John, are we ready to go with the tournament?
Yeah, I hear they're all ready. Should be good.
Okay, so on our way, why don't we stop by Jeremy and the other Peter and show you a little bit about, how our art and story has been developing, and then, we'll bring
go
Peter
do the
over.
tournament, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
come
great.
on over.
Who are the Chaos Agents? Where do they hail from? What secrets does the Chaos Agents universe hold? Find out in Chapter 4, starting in a few moments.